My name's Alana. I graduated from BYU in 2017 and studied public health with an emphasis in epidemiology.
Yeah. And I'm Anne, and I graduated from BYU, Idaho in 2015, and I studied horticulture.
I didn't want to go to BYU. I don't know why I wished to BYU. At the time, I'm the oldest of 3 kids, so not a bunch of kids, but I was the oldest, and my parents were both half BYU-H, half Provo. They were those folks that would go to Hawaii when it was cold, and they would come here in the fall. So they loved BYU a lot, and I loved BYU growing up, but I was afraid to be I was afraid to be surrounded by Molly Mormons and Peter priesthoods, but I prayed about it when I had a bunch of options of schools, and I felt like that was what I was supposed to do. And whether or not there's destiny or fate or whatever, I don't really necessarily believe in that, but I think that it all worked out the way that it was supposed to. I'm grateful for the people that I met, but yeah, I definitely didn't want to go to BYU at first, but knew that I would get a really good education there, and that I would be I thought that I'd be safe, and I was in a lot of ways, and then I wasn't in some other ways. But, other to anyone else, it's a pretty safe school, and, fun.
Yeah.
We had fun.
I think I went to BYU, Idaho mostly just for practical reasons. I wasn't a great student in high school, and it's an affordable place to go to school.
Yeah.
I knew that my parents would really approve of me going to school there. So, I didn't rule out other options to go to BYU, Idaho. It was just kind of where I could go.
My BYU life was interesting because I kind of came out to myself and to close family and friends when halfway through my schooling. So I had been at BYU a couple years, went on a mission, and then came back. And then, so the last couple years of BYU were a completely different experience from my first 2 years. But I basically felt like I lived a double life those last 2 years. I just buckled down and tried to get my degree. I just stayed close with the friends that I had that I knew that I could trust, but I didn't really try to make a lot of friends, and I hopped from ward to ward so that I wouldn't be very trackable. And it's a weird time. BYU just felt like another world. It's like a bubble, and it was hard. It was definitely hard and lonely, and it felt like I was just in survival mode a lot. But great education, no doubt.
Yeah. I had a pretty good experience at BYU, Idaho. I really loved my program and my professors and everything like that. I had a lot of fun with roommates. I didn't really realize that I was gay until my last year of school. I tried really hard to date guys, and the dating scene at BYU, Idaho is weird anyway. But I was engaged to a man my junior year. Really great guy. We got along great, but it wasn't until I was engaged to him that I really had to come out to myself, because I knew that I couldn't go through with that marriage. And so I broke off that engagement and slowly started coming out in the ways that I could. I think I probably only told 2 or 3 roommates. I went to a couple of USGA meetings at BYU, Idaho, but really there's at the time there was not much in the way of queer community at BYU, Idaho. So I couldn't really come out in any sort of realistic way. But overall it was okay, but mostly because it took me so long to realize that I was gay. Served my mission in Arizona, and it was good. I feel like my mission was positive probably because I felt like I was doing something really good, and there's a lot of community in a mission. And so I really didn't have a negative experience there.
I had an interesting mission. I served in Virginia near DC, speaking Spanish. And I think I had a little bit of pride at the beginning. I was upset that I got called stateside. And in retrospect, I'm glad that I did. I was a stellar missionary. I really kicked butt out there. And then towards the end of my mission, I ended up coming home a few months early because I got really bad anxiety and depression, which had never happened to me before. And afterwards, as I processed that more, I realized that it was all pretty tied to my sexuality. And I loved my mission and I hated my mission. I guess it was the best of times and the worst of times. I think I said it was like it's a taste of heaven and a taste of hell, because I think by the end of my mission, once I wasn't so worried about like the numbers and the particulars and the, all the particulars of the church, and I just was meeting people and like serving people and being in people's homes making tortillas, like that became my favorite thing. I feel like above anything, I just gained more empathy on my mission because I realized, and that was really key for me, because I realized that there isn't one perfect way to live life, and how could we insist that we have the one like source of happiness that just didn't compute. And so then I think that helped me after my mission and when I came out to, realize that I could be happy and I could be good. Like I can be just as good of a person and not necessarily be in this church. But yeah, my mission was definitely complicated and hard sometimes, but I am so grateful for the people that I met, and just learned how to love people who are different than me, which is so cool.
Mm-hmm.
I had a lot of leftover anxiety from my mission, for sure, from coming out, because by the time I went back to BYU, I had kind of come out to myself and some close friends and family to varying degrees of acceptance. And with that comes a whole slew of anxiety, because you just question if you've ever been enough and if you're enough now, because this is not, if you've spent your whole life being taught something, it's really hard to unlearn that, especially when it's something about yourself. And I still definitely struggle with anxiety and depression, and not just because of COVID, but just because it's hard to navigate the world when you don't have the same guidelines that you had before.
Or the same support system that you had before.
And the same support system. I think that's been really, really huge and hard, is just, because that really, it takes a toll on you when you don't have support, when you don't have like safe places and where people that you can be authentic around. And especially when it's the people that you just love the very most who can't quite be what you want them to be. And so it's definitely hard. The anxiety is real. There's definitely some struggles with it. I'm really grateful to be with a partner who's very understanding of that. And I feel really hopeful about the future. I feel good about, like, I know where my lowest lows have been and my highest highs, and I'm glad that I'll still have a whole life to live and enjoy things that I didn't know I would enjoy, or old things that I've enjoyed. And I don't know.
Yeah, I definitely dealt with anxiety and depression at different times as a student at BYU Idaho. I think that I experienced a lot of isolation, even like certainly related to my queerness, but I didn't always know it at the time. It was just not really fitting in and not completely understanding why, but BYU Idaho and probably BYU has really sort of competitive dynamics. Like everyone's trying to get married. I mean, that's what everyone always says, but it's true. Like there's so much pressure in that way to be like making all of the same steps that everyone else seems to be making, and everybody's getting engaged, and that seems to be like the most important thing that you could be doing, and it wasn't working for me. So that was tough. I did I saw a therapist at the counseling center at BYU Idaho, and I feel like I was one of the lucky ones because my therapist just happened to be like this really, really awesome woman, and she said the right things that I needed to hear at that time, and I'm really grateful for that, because I definitely needed some guidance and just reassurance, because she was like probably one of 4 people that I came out to when I was at BYU Idaho, and just having that place that I could be myself in, even though at the time it was something that I felt a lot of shame about, and I felt like it was something I was trying to fix and overcome.
I've gone through a lot of therapy, and I love that. I think everybody should have a therapist just to figure out what's going on in my own head. Because I think I had to kind of unlearn that survival mode and realize that I was free. I definitely cried the day that I graduated, because it was just like symbolic of being able to live a more authentic life. And since then, I mean, I kind of graduated and have never looked back. Like I have gotten a job and have had a couple jobs and have started dating someone that I love, and it's just exciting to be able to see. It's exciting and scary to be able to view the world with a completely different lens after leaving BYU. But knowing that those experiences were important and were integral to who I am.
Yeah. When I graduated, I didn't really know what I was going to do as far as like dating women or not. And so I think I took like 6 months to like try continuing to go to church and to figure out if I could like live the life that my parents wanted me to. And it was terrible, and I was miserable, and came out to my parents about 6 months after I graduated from BYU Idaho. But after that, I feel like I was able to let go of a lot pretty easily. Took me a long time to figure out that I was gay, but once I did, it was an easy choice to make, because it just felt right and good and the way that I wanted to live my life.
That's a great question. We actually met in a support group for gay LDS women. It was kind of not like through an organization or anything, kind of something informal with a PhD student at BYU.
Yeah, she was a student at BYU at the time.
Yeah, she had just graduated, and I was still in school and had a big crush on her, the support group, but never told her. And
she's gonna see this video.
Years went by, and the timing wasn't right then, and then we bumped into each other again. And
yeah, like 4 years later, we just bumped into each other it was a one-man show playing in Salt Lake called In Good Standing. Mm-hmm. It was really good. It was about a man coming out
and going through his
disciplinary
council where he gets excommunicated. It was a great play, but we just both happened to be there by ourselves. It was a last-second decision, and as soon as I found out that she was single, I was like, sweet, now's the time. So yeah,
that was good. That was 2 years ago.
Yeah,
a little over 2 years ago.
Yep. I would say that you're not alone. I think that was a huge thing, is just not knowing that many other queer students at the time that I was there, or not really feeling like I fit in with the kids at USGA or whatever. like it was the same thing, like kind of went to some different activities and couldn't quite find like my spot, and was also trying to lay low. So, but like, yeah, you're not alone, and there's life after BYU and there's life during BYU. I definitely that would be like my advice, is to live your life as much as you can while you're still at BYU, because like things don't have to be on pause. Like you can still grow as a person and plan what you're going to do for the rest of your life during that time. And no one's experience is the same, and you don't have to fit that BYU mold. And, you know, find a good friend who you can trust and hang on for dear life. And just, I think it's awesome that there are more resources now, because like we were talking about, there weren't as many before.
Yeah.
But there are lots of really cool things now, lots of like Encircle. It was really awesome when Encircle opened up in Provo, and that was like a big deal. And I was just graduating, but it was so cool to know that that was going to be there, because I would have loved something like that. So yeah, take advantage of those resources and reach out to anybody that you might know, because like we're always happy to talk about it, and we are cheering on all of the LGBTQ plus BYU students for sure.
Yeah, I think you gave like all the good advice. No, I mean, I guess I would just say like find people that you can trust to like be yourself with, and maybe don't feel pressure to come out to people, because it's definitely not safe for everyone. Like everyone has unique home situations, and it like there is a sort of pressure to come out and to be authentic for like the good of the community, because coming out makes it easier for other people to come out, but you have to do what's right for you, and you have to stay safe. And sometimes it's not practical to leave BYU, and sometimes coming out forces you to do that. But in the ways that you can, coming out feels great and is important when the time is right.